Races, and welcome to another live stream. And today's topic for today's live stream is Hattah, since we are 33 days away from going racing, if everything goes smoothly between now and then. So today's topic is 3 Hattah hacks, so you can climb the results sheet. So if you've done Hattah before, usually you've got a set amount of laps or a set position. If you raced in 2019, probably not a good example because it was pissing down with rain. And survival was a good result, let alone finishing up in a good spot. So today's topic is how you can climb the result sheet, and things that you can do now. So you're in that window, 33 days. It's still enough time to be able to make progress, do test runs. There's still things that you can work on to improve how you're riding or how your performance is going to go when we get into July. So to narrow it down into 3 hacks or 3 things that you can implement in the next 33 days that don't require too much time and effort, I guess. First thing is bike time in terms of volume. So obviously when you're going to Hattah, you've got 4 hours there that you know you're going to race. And you know that that's going to be a pretty tough 4 hours. Okay, you know it's going to be deep sand. You know it's going to be really rough. You know that there's going to be lots of bikes there. So between now and by the time Hattah comes, so the next 33 days, is you need to be able to make sure that you're getting enough time on the bike so that when you go and race for 4 hours, your body is already acclimatized and adjusted to being on the bike for a 4-hour period. So I know I use this example all the time, but I did a rowing marathon on a rowing machine, okay, in 2019. Started January 2019. And so I didn't do any rowing training for it. I just did my normal fitness work, and it was more about, hey, Belinda, it was more about just seeing whether I could actually make the distance and get it. And so I ended up doing it in 3 hours and 18 minutes. A year later, I went and did it again. And I did it in under 3 hours this time. I did it in 2 hours and 58 minutes. So I knocked 20 minutes off my time. One of the main things that I did differently is the second time round, I actually did some proper rowing training for it. And so what I implemented is I just did one long distance row every week. So I started off, I think I did about 12 weeks out. It was like 5K row one week, 10K row the next week, 15K, 20K, 25K, and built up every week. I can't remember the exact intervals I used, but I built up every week until I got to the marathon. So when I got to the second year of doing the 42K marathon on the rower, it wasn't guesswork. I wasn't seeing if I could make the distance. I already knew I was going to make the distance because I did 35Ks the week before. And I already knew how I was going to feel. I knew which areas of my body were going to fatigue. But I also had a bit of an advantage on the year before because all of those areas of my body that were being overused the first year round, they were accustomed to being on the rower, hey Travis, for such a long time. So that was one of the problems. The first time I did the row is my hands were getting sore, up into my hips was really tight and really sore, the back of my heels was getting sore, my ass was getting sore from being on the seat for so long. All of these little things that you can't really train for any other way apart from just spending time on the rowing machine. So it's the same for Hattah. You're going to be on the bike for 4 hours. There's going to be different things for you that come up that get sore. Maybe your ass gets sore, maybe your hands get sore, maybe your shoulders get sore, maybe your knees get sore, whatever it is that gets sore for you. There's going to be things that you just can't train or replicate with anything else for those volumes of time without just getting on the bike. So if you haven't been spending time on the bike, you need to be cranking that up and working towards that being out on the bike for 4 hours at a time and riding relatively hard. So those areas of your body that do get overused aren't going to be the limiting factor for you going into racing. Okay, it's going to be more based on overall fitness or based on your skills, not based on your hands being too sore that you can't hold on or getting arm pump and silly stuff like that. So that's the first thing, bike time. Second thing is doing nutrition test runs. And so I had our Think virtual event last Wednesday night. It had a great turnout and it was really, really good. So what I went through was all the nutrition. Hey Jared, nutrition, step by step, how to map everything out, what to eat, when to eat, how much to eat, stretch, hydration, the works. And one of the things that the guys learned, I asked everyone at the end what was one of the biggest learning areas, and for a lot of the guys was one of the things I mentioned, which was doing test runs. I said to them, with everything that I've gone through tonight, there's a lot of information here, and a lot of it is going to be new for the people that are on the call. So it's like trying to drink through a fire hose. Okay, there's just a shit ton of information. You're not going to implement it all. But I also said, don't take what I'm saying now and just save it for Think and go and do a test run at Think. Do the test run before, because there's different things that come up. Different people react to different things. So like, for example, putting Powerade in your Camelback, that might work for a majority of people, but you might have the Powerade and go, shit, it actually makes my throat sore and I get really thirsty and it doesn't help me to get hydrated. That's actually the opposite. And so instead of finding out those things at Think, let's find out those things beforehand. So when you go into Think, you're already prepared and you're already organized. Okay, that shouldn't be the test run with your nutrition and the test run with your hydration, your energy gels and all that sort of stuff. The test run should be done beforehand. You should already know how your body's going to react and how it's going to feel and how it's going to work. It might be as simple as maybe putting protein in your Camelback. Maybe the protein you got doesn't mix well and all the protein sticks at the bottom. And that's the problem. So it's just little things like this that sometimes you just can't plan for, and you might expect things to go one way, but they end up going a completely different way. So do nutrition test runs. So if you've got a specific plan or strategy that you use when you go and ride, nutrition bars, protein, carbohydrate drinks, gels, whatever it is that you implement, do a test run with that beforehand. So don't wait till Hattah to have everything nailed. Do a test run beforehand with all your nutrition, all your drinks, all your supplements, whatever it is, whatever your system is, give that system a test run. So when you get out there to Hattah, you know exactly how you're going to feel and how that's going to work. And that's, again, one of the things I did for my marathon row. I did practice runs in the runs before, the 30K, the 35K. I brought all my drinks and all my supplements. Looked like a complete Gumby going to the gym. I was rocking up to Jet's gym down the road, which is where I did my rowing training. And I had this Woolworths bag full of drinks, like Powerades, water, protein. And so when I was rowing, before I started my row, I got all my drinks lined up in an order. And I knew every half hour exactly how much of each drink I needed to have to make sure my body performed at its best all the way through. So when I went and did the full row and did the big one, I wasn't guessing which drinks to have. I wasn't working out how to get my drinks in and how to pull the rowing handle at the same time. I wasn't figuring out, was it quicker to stop rowing and have a drink, or is it better to pull with one hand and try and have a drink, or is it better to try and get someone else to give you the drink, whatever. I wasn't trying out all of that sort of stuff at the actual row. I'd done all the testing and the pre-runs before. So I knew how I was going to feel. I knew how my body was going to cope with the protein and the Gatorade and how much to get in and how to remind myself that every half an hour I needed to get a drink in. I already had all that stuff organized, right? So when I went in, it's one less thing I had to think about. I could keep my body at 100% while I was doing the row, but I didn't have to put mental energy into it. Okay, I could put my mental energy on the row and getting towards my goal. And so that's the same for Hattah. You want to make sure you've got everything organized before. Do a test run. Go for a 3 or 4 hour ride, okay, and mimic what you'd do. Mimic what you'd put in your Camelback. Mimic what you'd eat before. Mimic what you'd have at your fuel stops. Replicate absolutely everything. So again, give yourself more mental focus on race day by doing the hard yards, doing the practice runs beforehand. Third thing is not so much a fitness or nutrition thing. It's isolate problems, skill areas. So obviously you know that you're going to be racing in sand. You know that it's going to be rough, and you know it's going to be a hard track, and you know there's going to be lots of riders there. So isolate problem skill areas for the next 30 days. So if you know that you're really shit at whoops, okay, doing sandy whoops, specifically around corners. So you're not good at going around corners and getting off the back and having the power on and keeping the momentum going. You know that you're not good at that. Go and practice that for 30 days, okay? Isolate that specific skill and get better at it. So in 30 days time, like every week, you go ride. If you spend the first half an hour of every ride working on just whoops, hey Joseph, just working on whoops and working on sandy corners, you're going to have, if you do a ride a week, you're going to have 4 half-hour blocks of specific skill training. You're going to have 2 whole hours specifically designated to riding sand whoops around corners to help improve your performance. You can't not get better doing 2 hours of isolated specific training on what you're weak at. And likewise, maybe it's big braking bumps you're shit at, okay? Go and practice that. First half hour of every ride you do, go and practice doing braking bumps. Maybe it's ruts, okay? Maybe it's sharp sandy corners, okay? Maybe you have a problem with those, really leaning the bike over. Whatever it is for you, maybe it's the faster sandy whoops, okay? The longer whoops and getting over the back of the bike where you're going faster. Maybe you need to build up your confidence with that. If you do 2 hours of that between now and Hattah, you can't not be better. It's impossible for you to not be better practicing on the thing that you're terrible at. but it's just about making the time and prioritizing it. Instead of just going riding for the sake of going riding, it's going, okay, this is the purpose of going riding today. This is the outcome that I'm looking for. These are the things that I need to work on. And that's what's going to ensure that you move forward. So they're the three things. So just as a summary, first of all, bike time. Accumulate enough volume to be up around that 4-hour mark. There's going to be things that you do, no matter how much fitness or strength work you do off the bike, you need to be accumulating time on the bike. Okay, getting your body comfortable with riding for that amount of time. Second thing is nutrition test runs. Okay, don't test out a new nutrition plan or nutrition strategy when you get to race day. Okay, test all that stuff out beforehand and do practice runs. So when you get to race day, you know how it works, you know how to set up, you know what drinks you need or supplements you need or whatever it is that you do. And then the third thing is isolate problem skill areas. So any areas that you've got a problem with riding-wise, that you know that are an issue, ruts, sandy corners, braking bumps, fast whoops, whatever it is, go and isolate those areas for the next 30 days. Pick the one thing that you're the most shit at and practice that thing. First half hour of every ride, go and practice that one skill. And you can't not get better doing that. So they're my 3 Hattah hacks for this year. And you got plenty of time. You got 30 days to implement them. I specifically came up with things that I knew you could implement and get a result from in the next 30 days. So if you enjoyed this video or you found it helpful, please give me a thumbs up on the video. Helps to share it with other Hattah riders and racers to make sure they can see it as well. And as always, if any of you guys would like some help with your training, your riding, your racing, you want to improve your performance, you want to be fitter, you want structure to help improve your performance and your results, send me a private message. Let me know what you're working towards with your riding, and then we can go from there. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys soon. See ya.